on ITV1. Now, strong opinions and strong language on Late Attitude.
Yes, it's that time of week again when you lot get to have your say. Welcome to Late Attitude. Now, a little bit later on, I'm going to be having an in-depth session with this gorgeous young lady here. You're Lauren Anderson. You're famous in the US, aren't you?
Yes, you could say that.
Okay, what happened?
I won the first ever nationwide search for Playboy centerfold and became the July 2002 centerfold and cover for the magazine.
Wow, that is famous. That is really famous. Okay, but first there seems to be something this week that quite literally is driving you round the bend.
Bus drivers, some of them are nice, some of them are really, really nasty, and the ones that are nasty are a majority at the moment.
They've got to sort out the money and sort out the traffic and everything. I can't blame them. I think I'd be like that if I was a bus driver. Are
bus drivers the set of grumpy bastards that you lot say they are, or do they provide an invaluable service to our cities? What do you guys think? Well, plenty to say on that one.
They think they own the road, they just pull out without indicating. It really annoys me.
You're not happy? You're not? No. Fine.
I think I've met like one nice bus driver in 18 years.
Just the one?
Just the one. And he was over happy.
You think he was on Prozac?
Yeah, probably.
Well, we'll be back on the buses in just a moment. But first, last week we had such a fantastic response with Fineapple being in the studio that we decided to get some more live music this week with Sheffield-based Chaos Theory. They'll be playing live later on in the show, but first, LMFM's Tracy Ullenshaw is going to summarise this week's big stories.
Well, of course, we've had the immigration saga with Bev Hughes resigning over the alleged fraudulent visas, and now David Blunkett, there's calls for him to go as well. Then problems in Iraq continue. I think at the moment there's fighting there that's going on. The violence is worse than it has been since the war ended.
Yeah, it seems to be on a bit of a downward spiral, that one, doesn't it?
This is it, and there's even calls for a civil war breaking out over there.
What about on a lighter note, Tracy?
Well, on a lighter note, something that caught my eye was a young male artist came out saying that he had a small manhood.
He's a famous guy, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
Still, at least nice. At least I'm not on my own, eh, Justine?
You're talking about your Willie again, Richard. I'm here with Steve Myers from Hallam FM.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right, yeah, not bad.
Good. What's been the topic of your conversations this week?
I would say that obviously the alleged allegations that David Beckham's been shooting into the other goal, which I don't actually believe at all.
I don't either. I think he's a family man. I think people should just leave him alone.
He's Mr. Brill Cream. The thing is with Beckham is if he goes somewhere and he farts, it's on the TV.
Going to get in the paper.
If he ends up shagging someone else, well, he knows he's going to get caught anyway.
Exactly. He's going to be a bit stupid to go out there and just publicly display it all. What about other things that's been going on as well?
Oh, good one.
Yeah.
Kylie. Hopefully, maybe she'll be the new Bond girl.
Oh, really? Because Britney wants to do it as well, doesn't she?
Britney hopefully is going to do it.
But Britney's too much. She's
she's brilliant. No, she's great. Britney's great. She's had a lot of knee operations. But hopefully she's going to be on our screen.
She'll be one of your favourites.
Hopefully.
Cheers, Steve.
Every week we ask you to tell us what you want on the show, and loads of you had a moan about public transport, and in particular what you thought about bus drivers. Are they driving you mad?
You see people running towards the bus and then they'll drive off. I just think that's hilarious.
If you're not a people person, why do a people person job?
It's not a very good job, is it? It's like, it's okay, I suppose, if you like driving, but it's like you meet a lot of people that give you, attitude kids.
The other day I got on the bus for 40p and I had a £2 coin and the bus driver went mad at me about it.
They just want to power through everyone and get where they can first, and they don't take much likeness to other drivers, especially cyclists.
I actually dreamt the other night that I got killed on a bus.
You know, because they've got no manager around them, they can just say anything they want, you know what I mean, and get away with it.
Their job is quite hard, so therefore I think that's why they can be sometimes really mean to people.
They will not talk to you even if you say thank you, they will not answer you back, so they're just miserable as far as I'm concerned.
Tracy, are bus drivers really that bad?
Well, I've definitely got on a bus before with a tenner in my hand and the drivers looked at me like I'm Satan.
Yeah, but I bet you get that quite a few places, don't you, just on buses? But to be fair, my uncle's a bus driver, and he's a grumpy old twat himself, and he reminds me of the guy... He is, seriously, and he reminds me of the guy we used to have at school, and he used to pull up outside school, wait for us all to get quite close, and then just drive to the next one, because it was a bit of a giggle.
That's kind of backed up by the fact that in South Yorkshire there's been nearly 700 complaints about bus drivers, and they're only the ones that we actually know about.
700 when? Is that just last year?
In the past 6 months.
Oh, right, OK, that's a lot then, isn't it? But obviously there's two sides to every story.
Well, there are, and I have to tell you that recently there's been quite a lot of attacks on South Yorkshire bus drivers. In fact, one I want to point out to you, one driver was sprayed in the face with CS gas, and that's after a passenger had 50p, and the bus driver said the fare was £1.
No, that's a bit harsh. But quickly, tell me about this bus driver idol. What's that?
Yeah, they're actually searching for, like, the best bus driver, and the kind of credentials you need are, it's assessed on driving ability, professionalism and friendliness.
Ooh, friendliness. They're going to struggle to find one contestant, never mind a winner. But it's only fair to give the bus companies a chance to defend themselves, isn't that right?
I think that's fair.
OK, so obviously there's a lot of public opinion about bus drivers at the moment. A lot of people are saying they're not very popular. What do you say to that?
It's not the easiest job. To be fair, it's one of those things where you are stuck in that little cab for anything up to 12 hours a day, and you can't get out while you're driving the thing along. Obviously, you're in the situation where you're stuck there.
Surely you're not saying it's OK to get a bit of road rage now and again, are you?
Bus drivers are human beings.
OK, but surely you're part of the public service sector, aren't you? You're there to admittedly deal with awkward customers in a nice manner, not in a personal way that we might all like to say.
It's not easy. I mean, there's a serious side to this now, in that the bus industry's got a serious problem with retaining staff. And it's getting harder and harder to encourage people into the industry, and even once you've got them there, actually hanging on to them. And it's becoming a really serious problem.
What about this issue of bus drivers being under attack all the time?
That is getting really bad. We've had, even with school children, we've had them attacked. We've got something in the region of 40 buses running in Sheffield and Rotherham, and we're getting, on average, 5 windows smashed every week from people hoiking bricks at the buses. And it's getting very, very bad.
OK, Mick, so are things going to improve, do you think?
Hopefully, yes, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a two-way thing, and we've got to see your audience, other people out there, being friendly to the bus driver.
Hear that, guys? You've all got to be nicer to your bus driver next time you get on. OK?
We have some questions for you, Mick.
How can you take money off people, when you're driving, and say you have no change if someone comes on with a £5 note? You've been driving all day.
I think you've got to remember that the driver's probably been driving all day, but you might be the 10th person that's got on that trip that's got no change. But yeah, I'd admit that sometimes drivers perhaps aren't quite as helpful as they could be.
I want to know why you treat the younger generation differently. Why are you so mean to them?
I don't think that's true.
You do, you really do.
Sometimes I've seen old women running for bus, or people loaded with carrier bags, and bus pulls away from them. Then is it like some sort of buzz you get from inconvenience in public by just driving off as the running foot door and
I can honestly say I've never done that. But yeah, I know that it happens from time to time. But you've got to remember that buses have all sorts of blind spots, and sometimes it's not always that easy to see. And you're concentrating on getting out into traffic, and you're not really looking perhaps as closely as you should do, and away you go.
Has anybody got anything good to say about bus drivers?
All the bus drivers that go on mainline and in Yorkshire Territory are all pleasant to me. They'll all live round me and I get on with them. I get on bus in the morning and my ticket's ready for me and I give them the right change and we have a chat on the way there. And I don't see any problem with bus drivers. It's conductors on the tram I have a problem with.
Well, look, if you're bobbed off or bus drivers driving you around the bend, or anything else for that matter, then log on to lateattitude.com. Of course, there are people closer to home who drive us mad as well. When they're not moaning or telling us what to do, they're acting like kids and can often be the source for, well, great embarrassment. Yes, Late Attitude exposes the parents behaving badly. Just how embarrassing can your mum and dad be?
Parents. Where did they learn to embarrass us? It's like when they answer the phone to someone you're trying to get with, or even by opening the door to one of your friends, or just simply by opening their big mouths. My mum tries to pretend she's my best friend when we're out. What does your parents do to embarrass you?
My mum's boyfriend named me Twin Peaks because of the size of my breasts.
My dad's like 44 and he thinks he's like 16, so it's like when I go clubbing he always wants to come out with me.
Maybe I've been put in awkward situations by my parents, but I've never been embarrassed.
My dad, he went to a 40th birthday party recently and he just sort of flicked the switches on and off and everybody was like looking right at the light switches.
When I was a kid, my dad always used to come in really drunk and flirt with the babysitter.
The most embarrassing thing my mum's ever done to me, she snogged another woman in front of me. In a party, we were all in the room.
She brings out my baby pictures and she pooed while she was giving birth to me. You know, things like that. So every time she meets my boyfriend, she'll bring that up.
Look, parents, you've been warned about this sort of thing.
Ooh, some fairly embarrassing stories there, but you want to defend your parents, don't you?
Definitely, I think my dad's is very cool. He listens to some right good music. The man's a better dancer than me, for crying out loud, is it?
That may not be saying much, but what kind of music is he listening to?
Well, he listens to Motown and like a bit of T-Rex, nice bit of rock and stuff like that.
Well, it's not that cool, is it? If you listen to Eminem, he'd be cooler. What about yourself?
Well, I've got to say that I think my parents are probably more on the clubbing scene than me, which is quite unusual, because my dad's a DJ, so some of my best nights out have been when he's been playing, and we've had great parties and stuff.
Is he running those grab a granny nights, or...?
No, not at all. He's hard house techno, so it's quite up there.
Get in. He is a cool dad, isn't he? Now, Lauren, you took your clothes off for a rather, well, famous magazine, didn't you? Did that embarrass your parents at all?
No, they're very proud. They brag about it all the time.
Really? Do they embarrass you?
I took my clothes off for the whole world, so I don't really get embarrassed too much.
Really? Not at all?
Not at all.
Do you fart in public?
No.
That means you get embarrassed by it then, doesn't it?
Do you fart in public?
Of course I do. I'm very proud of it. Well, anyway, as you'd expect, we're going to be asking you lot how much dosh you'd expect before you take your kit off.
I don't really think that it's a bad thing to take your kit off, but I just think there's too much of it going on at the moment, and I think there's things that are more sexy than showing everything.
Pay me a couple £100 and I'll do it for you.
Flashing the flesh next on Late Attitude.
The word is out on the street. ITV1 Speed Sunday has got the lot.
The mother of all racing.
With everything from the world of rally to Formula One, from the thrills of British touring cars to the spills of NASCAR.
Hey, slow down.
Speed Sunday, Sunday at 2, ITV1.
Hi, this is Late Attitude. We're here at Kingdom in Sheffield, and joining us, a journalist, Tracy Ollenshaw, and DJ Steve Myers, both from Hallam FM. And of course, our extra special guest this week is Lauren Anderson. All right. Remember, if there's something you think we should be talking about, then you need to log on to our website to let us know. The address, of course, is lateattitude.com. We'll be chatting to Lauren in just a minute, who, let's face it, became a massive star in America because she took her kit off for Playboy. Men's magazines showing birds with the tits out sell by the million, but does that necessarily mean we're obsessed with sex? Are we? Yeah. You're all nodding, you're all saying yes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's everywhere you look, especially on like your soaps like Coronation Street and stuff.
Do you think we're obsessed?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's everywhere, every single time of day, really.
Okay, that's fine. What about you, sir?
I personally think we should see far more shots of penetration during sex scenes on all TV shows.
Okay, you're obviously a sick and twisted individual. Security, please sort him out. That's what this lot think, but what about you?
The majority of people are, I think, quite like, always think about sex.
Coronation Street with the, you know, the sex scenes between the two lads and stuff. It's at 7:30 at night or 8 o'clock, and I think young kids shouldn't really be witnessing that.
I can't think of anything more boring. I don't want to know what Jordan's up to or who she's up to it with. It doesn't interest me.
When it becomes to do with celebrities, I think it's invading their privacy.
I don't think we're obsessed by sex, no, it's natural.
It's too much. You see too many naked people. Just get sick of it.
We enjoy it a lot, so maybe, yeah, I suppose we are obsessed with it then, aren't we?
It puts pressure on young people to do it. I think that's why people are having sex younger.
I don't care what David Beckham's up to or anything like that. I mean, he does what he likes for me, all this like sex scandals and all that.
There is a lot of like sex advertising, but I think that's just another tactic to sell things.
Tracy, are we obsessed with sex? Well, if some statistics show that us Brits have sex on average about 135 times a year, which is about 2.5 times a week.
Not very much then.
Well,
really.
no, but that might just be the people who are getting any. But like Rich mentioned magazines earlier, magazines like Loaded and and FHM, year on year they're selling more and more issues. And then if you look at the porn industry as well, how many satellite channels show porn nowadays?
Quite a lot, but don't you think that just covers men? Because there are a lot of ladies that think about sex quite a lot, actually, possibly every 20 seconds a day.
I don't doubt it. No, women want their fair share as well. I think, like, since The Full Monty was filmed in Sheffield, we're all for that. Hen nights nowadays, how many of us book a stripper and, you know, have a good look and, you know, we get the eye candy as well.
Quite a lot. Right now, Michael, you are our showbiz guest TV presenter. Do you think we're obsessed with sex because the stars are doing it?
Yeah, definitely, of course, because, I mean, you look at the tabloids and the current page 3 phenomenon, the page 3 girls. Ultimate goal for a page 3 girl out there is to bag a football star, a TV star, something like that. Same with the boy bands, to become the ultimate couple, because let's face it, that sells tabloids. You and I both know that, because both our lives have been examined in minute detail in the tabloids, you know, on many occasions. We both know that, we've both been there.
We do. I've just got to interrupt you there. Audience, do you know who this guy's been linked with? Renée Zellweger, Danny Minogue. You've also been actually in the national tabloids recently, snogging Britney for a couple of hours as well. What do you think about that one?
But is that necessarily all true?
Hell no.
And I think in the case of Playboy, again, yes, all the biggest stars, if you think of from Drew Barrymore to Pamela Anderson, two people I know well, they grace that cover. What does that make us do? We want to go out and buy that magazine, and we want to go out and buy and find out all about their sex, you know, their sex life.
So what you're saying, Michael, is yes, we are obsessed with sex.
Certainly, because it sells tabloids, and I know, yeah, I certainly do.
Let us know if you've got an obsession with sex, or anything else for that matter, by logging on to lateattitude.com. We're going to be filming in Hull next week, so if you'd like to be on the show, let us know.
Steve's offered to help us with the emails this week. Thanks, Steve. What have you got for us?
We had an email from Tyrone Hall, who said, why does religion and colour affect some relationships?
Good question, actually. I've got Simon from Bradford. He agrees with me. Right, rebound relationships are just about shagging someone different. Of course they are.
Yes?
Yeah. Well, Pete from Huddersfield said, what's wrong with people who like stick-thin women? You need a few curves, something to grab hold of, or you may as well just shag a lamppost. Whatever turns you on, Pete.
It's not as good either. No. I had an email from Bev in Castleford saying, what had Justine done to her hair? It's kind of like the Cameron Diaz, something about Mary's seminal moulding thing.
That was the look.
Interesting, yeah, it was good.
That was what I was hoping for.
What she asked, which obviously I'm quite intrigued about as well, is had you and Richard been backstage, because you were doing it about teenage pregnancies, and had you...
it was purely, it was...
I know you'd gone with a drought, love, because you asked me and I wasn't interested,
It was a fashion thing. It was supposed to work. Sorry, it was a bit of a flop.
Now, is the lovely Lauren's with us this week? How you doing? You all right? We thought we should be talking about titillating shots of people with little or no clothing. Now, Lauren's going to be revealing all in a moment. But first, we want to know, would you do it?
A tenner, 50. What about £100? How much would it take to persuade you to take your kit off for a magazine shoot?
Never, I would never do that.
Would you take your kit off?
I wouldn't now. I wouldn't. No, not for love nor money.
Wouldn't?
I wouldn't, no.
Never. Never, 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 honestly.
Not even for £1,000?
No, not for £1,000, no.
Oh, I would.
Well, I've got my checkbook right here.
I would strip for money if it could pay off all my debt and I could get on with life easier.
I wouldn't, no.
I'd take the top half off, maybe, if it was covered a bit.
Not if anyone paid me £1 million, I wouldn't do it.
I just think there's too much of it going on at the moment, and I think there's things that are more sexy than showing everything.
No, never.
It's easy money, and if you've got it, why not flaunt it?
No, it's degrading. Don't believe it.
If you've got the body to do it, and you want to do it, I don't see why there's a problem with it.
I'd rather be poor. I'd rather be living on the streets than get me kit out.
OK, guys, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Lauren Anderson reveals all. OK, Lauren, you're a massive star in America. Where did it all start?
I won a reality TV show called Girl Next Door, Search for Playboy Centerfold, and became the July 2002 centerfold and cover for Playboy.
Wow, that is famous, isn't it? OK, so you entered this reality TV show. What were you doing before that? You went from...
I went from being a student.
So you were a student?
Yes, I auditioned for the show and went on it and filmed for about 2 weeks and ended up winning, and Mr. Hefner actually chose me out of 12 girls.
He's got an awful job, that Mr.
Yes,
Hugh
he
Hefner,
does.
hasn't he? So he chose it. So the whole thing took about how long?
It took about 2 weeks, and then after I won, it took about 3 more weeks to shoot all of the pictures for the magazine.
Okay, and what we really need to know is how much. How much did you get paid?
$25,000 for the actual centerfold, and then anywhere from $750 to $1,500 for about 3 hours a day of work.
That's good coin.
It's okay. Could be
It's
better.
okay. It could be better. So that works out, what, $5 grand a week?
That's what it works out to. It's not a fortune, but it's worth it.
Okay, how were your parents with it? Were they cool with you doing it all?
Oh, absolutely. They loved it. I got their permission first, and they were very supportive, and they love it. They brag about me all the time.
Okay, and finally, Hugh Hefner. What's he really like? What's the interaction?
Actually, he's wonderful. He's very much a gentleman, and we get along great. I lived at the mansion for about 2 months while I was filming everything and finding a place to live out there, and he was wonderful.
Oh, God, he makes me sick. He's the luckiest man in the world.
Yes, he is.
He is, isn't he? Okay, thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Kimberly, what's your question for Lauren?
Don't you find it weird that like your mum and dad have seen you with no clothes on posing for Playboy?
It's very strange, but my dad actually and my stepdad have not seen it. They refuse to look at it, so...
And what about you?
I was wondering whether you've been down into the Playboy grotto and whether you've got any seedy stories.
I have no stories about me personally, but I've definitely seen some interesting things going on in there at parties.
Can you clarify on that?
A lot of people having sex.
Log on to the website to tell us what you think we should be talking about next week when we're in Hull. The address, of course, is lateattitude.com. That's almost it for this week. Thanks first to Tracy and Steve from Hallam FM, and of course Justine and our special guests, Michael and Lauren. We're going to leave you tonight with some real live music from Sheffield-based band Chaos Theory with a song called Thug Life Story.
I was the scrawny-looking kid from the neighborhood. I yelled down on his luck and up to no good, getting into fights in my junior school. I was a geek, but I thought I was cool. I nearly died at my birth, and sometimes I wish I had. Thinking about my child life still makes me sad, but I'm glad that I overcame it. Even though I still did the same shit, coming home with torn clothes and black eyes. I always had more girls as friends than guys. At 11, lost the best friend I ever had. I was depressed from the death of my granddad. Spent time in hospital from having fits. By age 12, I tried slitting my wrists. When I was 16, I was taking the piss out of a girl at school who wouldn't give me a kiss. So, seems to me I walk for miles, never seem to get nowhere. The destination is unknown. Walking down a one-way street, yeah. City's full of memory. Destination is unknown, but my life is still my own. But that's just the story of my life, you see. Hey yo, they'd rather be my friend than get with me. When I left school, I thought I'd toughen up. I was getting sick and tired of getting beaten up, so I devoted my life to the streets. Hung around with the new crew of peeps. I transformed myself from being a geek into a sluggish, rugged thug. Sipping brew on the streets. I don't believe in God or even karma, so I started smoking marijuana, living that thug life that Tupac preached about. Getting pulled by cops for running up my mouth, yo. Seems to me I walk for miles,